Alrighty, hello and welcome back to Legendary Lunacy. I am your host, Lord Papa Lunacy. With me, as always now, is my partner in crime, the Shadow Man Randy himself. Go ahead and say hello to the fans.
How's it going?
Shadow Man Randy and I here are doing some more tier lists for you. And the last one we did was horror slasher icons, which was a lot of fun. So we want to keep with like the horror trend. So we've got some categories here for the video. Bear with us. The only one we could find that had like names of these, it's just giant texts, and so like the chart itself is gonna be huge, but I think we can make it through. So we're doing creepypastas now. The finest creepypastas and r/no sleep stories, which we went through and looked at ahead of time, trying to make sure we knew most of them, and we know most of these, but we didn't recognize a couple that we don't know. So we've got a couple categories. We've got I don't know this story, which we'll have I think 2 or 3 in there. We've got Booty Cheeks Incarnate, which means this story is just dog shit. Which I can only think of like one.
I can't even think of one that was... Well...
After rereading it, there's the one.
Yeah, we have a plan for after this tier list is made. We're going to make another video, but that's for later.
Yeah, we'll get there. After Booty Cheeks Incarnate, we've got bad stories that have decent moments. One above that is mediocre stories. Above that is good enough. Above that is classic scary stories. And above that is no sleep tonight. Meaning that if the story is good enough that it leaves you like afraid to go to sleep to have nightmares and stuff, that's a no sleep story. That's S tier stories.
Of course.
The classic's gonna be like it's a great story all on its own. It's not so bad so like that you can't sleep at night. But so I think you'll understand what we're ranking the stuff here. The reason it's gonna take a little bit longer is we're gonna try and do a little talking about the stories as we go. Because one thing about Shadow Man Randy and myself, we've always listened to scary stories ever since we were younger. Back when we were in school, we would listen to them as like helping us go to sleep and stuff like that, and as like ASMR kind of stuff.
We were the weird kids. We talk about them at school.
I mean, have you seen us on our YouTube channel? So it's we've got some serious connections to some of these stories, and I think that a lot of you out there also have these connections to these stories. So we're gonna go ahead and do our best to try and rank these fairly, and who knows? I was talking to Shadow Man Randy a little bit ago. He's got some creepypastas recorded at his house, and we're going to try and get those up for you here soon. And I'm really excited to see y'all's reaction to these, because I don't know about you, but hearing Shadow Man Randy's lovely, luscious voice.
I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
And also, I would like to point out as well that we are ranking these based off of the first time we heard them when we were younger. I haven't heard most of these since we were kids, so I'm ranking them based off of memory.
Yeah.
Now, when I said earlier we're going to do another video at the end of this tier list, we're going to go back and re-listen to these as adults.
Yep.
And then I think we should re-rank them
Yes.
after we've listened as adults. And I think it might be a little bit of a different case scenario.
Definitely. Like some of these on here, like one of the ones that is on here, you'll realize which one I'm talking about. I remember as a kid loving the story, thinking it was terrifying. But now that I'm older, and I've heard it through Creepcast, I will tell you this. I think that this particular story is one of the worst I've ever heard. It is Booty Cheeks Incarnate, and I think it's the only one on this list that's going to get ranked there on our first go-through of this list. But yeah, so without further ado, let's get into it. We'll start out with 1999.
Don't know it.
Don't know that one? So 1999, if I remember right, it's a story where like this kid, he gets his first TV as like when he's like 10 or 11, and it's like out of the bunny ear antenna, like old school.
Yeah.
And the only channels he really gets are local channels, and so there's the local channel, and it's back in 1999, and the local channel has a couple of cartoons that he likes to watch, and one of them is called Mr. Bear's Basement, and it has like all these other little deals, and it's like this homemade TV channel because it's a local access channel. Well, so like it's this grown man who always wears a bear mask, and like he has kids on his show and everything, and the kids remembers. He's like, I remember watching the show as a kid and be like, I really want to be on the show. And then one day, Mr. Bear said, if you want to be on my show, write me a letter. And if you get chosen, you might get to be a part on the show. Well, so he writes a letter and gets a letter back, and he tells his parents. His parents are like, oh, okay. So they take him to the house where he's supposed to record, and it's this huge, huge house. And the dad's like, and also props to the dad here, because the dad, he does the perfect thing you should do as a parent, not just send your kid into a house. But the dad says, I'm going to go check out the house real quick. So the dad steps into the house, and about that time, like 4 cops hop out, and then several more cops pull up, and apparently the dude's missing, and no one knows who this guy is, but there's like 12 missing kids, and like he's kidnapped these kids. And OP, the main storyteller, was going to be one of them. And so the story 1999 is about OP coming back to the town years later, and being like, I gotta find out what happened here. And so they go into like the police to talk to the police about it, because the police, when they find out who this person was, they're like, oh, okay, so you want to find out what happened with like the case that you were a part of, essentially. And like, so the whole story is that basically this person was almost a child trafficking victim kind of thing.
Okay.
And it's like, but like not necessarily just trafficking. It's like the child. Yeah, it's hard to explain, but it's really good. I would say it's probably classic, because I don't think I would lose sleep about it now, just because like it's all told in retrospective.
Yeah.
But like it's a really good scary story. We should read that one, I think.
Okay, well, I mean, I take your word for that.
Yeah.
I just haven't heard that one. Been Drowned.
Been Drowned.
Now, this one I do remember as a kid. If I can remember correctly, Been Drowned was a very scary story if you're into like the retro gaming stories. You know what I mean?
That's right. I do
Following a creepy variant of Link in Majora's Mask, I believe, right? Or no, it's about a kid who supposedly had drowned. His soul got locked into his Nintendo. Yeah. And there was this character that like somebody found the old cartridge, or like an old.
They like bought it at a garage sale.
Yeah, they bought a cartridge at the garage sale.
Yeah.
And I think it was titled Been Drowned. Or no, it wasn't titled Been Drowned. I think
that was the
Majora's
save.
Mask.
The save was called Been
Drowned.
Yeah.
So it was just a regular Majora's Mask or Ocarina of Time. I don't know which one.
One of the classic 64 cartridges.
Yeah, and then the save was Been Drowned, and that's when like all hell broke loose. He started playing it, and
wasn't it like the statue of Link would follow him around the game?
Yeah, it was that. It was that one statue of Link, and apparently this save was possessed by that boy's soul, and that's like gross
oversimplification.
Yeah, but
I remember the first parts that kind of scared me a little bit. I don't think I ever. I remember there was like 1 or 2 parts towards the end where I just kind of lost interest because it stopped being really scary. It just got a little bit kind of weird.
Yeah, it was just more of like a psychological, like, kind of. It was an okay story when I was a kid. I never thought it was bad.
Yeah.
So, I don't think it was one of those stories that I like thought about that we talked about at school too often.
I know it was one that everyone had talked. Like everyone had said they'd heard it at least.
Yeah, it's like a classic that everyone heard. It's like just an OG, but I don't think it's a no sleep.
Yeah,
I think classic scary stories.
You think so?
Might fit it for at least what my child mind can remember, bro.
Right. Yeah. And see, and I don't remember a whole lot about that one, so it could change. It could go higher. It could go lower. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Address 349. I don't remember that one at all. Do you know that one?
I'm trying to think. I don't know it off the top of my head.
Me neither.
Baraska
is no sleep tonight.
We talk about Baraska to this day.
All the time.
Often.
In fact, I think the when we finally reconnected the other day, that was one of the first things we talked about, was like we should do a retelling of Baraska.
Yeah.
Which I think would be a good story to do.
And I think that's one that we should re-record as well.
We should.
Now, I know there's a second part to Baraska that I've been told about. I don't know anything about that.
I remember loving it as a kid. I went back and I listened to the Creepcast retelling of Baraska V, and it is a lot cheesier than I remember. I remember, like, when I read it the first time as a kid, I was like, Baraska V is a perfect ending to the story. It's amazing. But then hearing them retell it, I was like, oh no. My brain it's betrayed me again.
Oh my god, it's terrible.
Yeah, Baraska V, and that's nothing against the writer, because like even for what it was, the cheesy ending to a storyline, it was still entertaining.
Yeah.
But like Baraska on its own, parts 1 through 4, amazing.
Amazing
storytelling.
Baraska, the original story, amazing. Probably one of the best creepypastas, if not the best I've ever listened to or read. Mm-hmm. So that's an easy peasy, no sleep tonight.
Yeah. Candle Cove is up next. Do you remember that one at all?
No.
So that one is like these kids. It's all done through like a chat room. People talking about like when they were kids, they would watch this cartoon that was like puppets and there were pirates and stuff, and like it was really creepy and stuff like that. And like it was like this kid got transported to another. And it is all in the show. They're all reminiscing about like the show. And it's just people just being like, do you remember the show, Candle Cove? And, like, as they go through it, and also, I should have given this at the beginning of the episode. Fair spoiler alert. We're going to talk about these stories. But they talk about this show, and it's like, there was the main character was this kid, and they get this friend, Pirate Piercy, who's a puppet in the show, and has, like, the face of a baby or something. And then, like, they're all, like, friends, and they're going on adventures, and it's, like, I just remember stuff that would happen that would be really freaky or whatever for kids, and, like, to me, whenever I would read that story, I was like, this reminds me of Flapjack. The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack.
Oh, yeah.
Like a creepy sailor pirate show.
Top tier cartoon, by the way.
Oh, amazing show. But, like, so they people are all reminiscing, and then they're like, well, do you remember the villain of the show? And it's like the Skin Taker. It was a skeleton that wore, like, a hat that was made of skin and a cape made of skin. And whenever it would talk, it wouldn't open its mouth. Its teeth would grind back and forth, and he would always talk in a really low voice. And they'd be like, why do your teeth move like that? And he'd say like, to grind your skin and bones. And it was just really creepy. And they remember being really creeped out by it. And then like they all remember like there's one episode, the screaming episode, and they're like, what? And they all remember it as like there's an episode where like the TV show came on, and it was just everyone screaming bloody murder for like 30 minutes. And then the episode ended, just faded to black as the screams faded out. And then they're like, I need to ask my mom if they remember this show. And then one chick comes back and is like, I talked to my mom. She said I would stare at the static TV for 30 minutes, and then it would just go back. I'd go back to normal. And they're like, it's like it was all in their heads.
Also, it was like it was hypnotizing them.
Some shit like that, yeah.
Yeah, some weird force.
And I remember that story was really. I love that story. I need to read that one again. But like, I'm gonna put that one in. I want to say classics. I don't think it's No Sleep Tonight, but I think it was a classic scary story, and that's another one I need to reread because it's been a while. But like, I remember it being really cool because the whole concept behind that one too is it was like.
I mean, that's a good story. It has a really good twist. That's how you can like you judge a story based off of good writing and a good twist.
Oh yeah,
that sounds like a good twist to me.
It was really good. I really liked that. I think there's sequels to it, but I don't think I've ever heard any of them. I just heard the original.
Don't listen to them.
Don't do it.
It'll ruin it for you.
Has anyone heard of The Crossing House? I don't know that one.
Don't know that one.
Okay.
I don't know a lot of these, to be honest.
The Inheritance of Silence. I don't know that one either.
I don't know that. That's okay. And then we move on to.
So, you remember earlier when I said there was a shitty story that I used to love? As a kid, Jeff the Killer was terrifying.
When I was a kid, first time I heard this, probably 11 years old, I would have put this S tier.
Yeah.
Re-listening, which we have done already through Creepcast.
Thank you, Creepcast, by the way. Amazing show. Check them out.
I'm going to be honest. This one, classic as it may be.
This has got to be Booty Cheeks.
This is Booty Cheeks, bro.
This might be the only one that gets Booty Cheeks in this look-through. Because, like, it's...
Iconic, yes. Terrible writing, yes.
It's so... And don't get me wrong, and I feel bad, because, like, as someone who's writing, and I know my writing is probably not much better, but, like, I see some of this stuff, and I remember as a kid being like, this makes total sense. Everything's happening.
Yeah, this is really creepy and terrifying.
And then there's the bit where it's like, and then Tony came around the corner and says, what do we have here, boys? And he's like, it was Tony with his friend, the tall skinny boy, and the tub of lard.
The writing was definitely like it was done by about a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
I mean...
The feeling. He had a feeling. A sort of feeling.
Can't... The thing about it is it's such a classic icon, and Creepypastas wouldn't be what they are today without Jeff the Killer.
Yeah.
But... that story's ass. I'm sorry.
So bad.
We could move on from
that. Next up, we got Lavender Town Syndrome. I need to re-listen to that one. If I remember right, the story is basically there's a haunted cartridge of Pokemon there's a certain song that plays at Lavender Town. It's a very sad, like, just kind of Pokemon song. But, like, honestly, it makes people depressed and they commit suicide, if I remember right. And it was all right. I'm gonna say mediocre story for that one. I don't think it was the best. It was pretty good, though.
I've never heard Left-Right Game.
Have you heard this one?
No.
This one I actually heard for the first time from Creepcast. Shout out to them as well. I'm going to put that one in No Sleep.
Ooh.
I think basically it's this reporter, she sends these copies of her transcripts to a friend in another country, and the friend says, hey, I've not seen my friend in like months, but I'm getting these, I'm uploading them for you to hear. And so this reporter hears about this thing called the Left-Right Game, where it's like you play this game in your car, and it takes you to another world and everything. She's like, oh, okay, I'll go check it out. And so she goes to this guy's house, and it's like he has like a group of people who are all wanting to see this Left-Right Game. And basically you go in your car, and you just take lefts and rights, left followed by rights, whatever, so on and so forth, but you have to follow the rules because it takes you to a portal to another dimension, and shit ends up working. And it's terrifying. It's really good, though.
Okay, that's one I need to listen to.
Definitely recommend that one. It's good. The No End House. I think we can both agree this one's
No End House is S tier. Judging based off of how I heard it when I was a kid, I haven't listened to it since I was a kid, but I will say.
Shout out to my channel. I did a reading of this a couple Halloweens ago. No End House is amazing.
I love the story. I love the idea. I love everything about it. And it has a crazy twist at the end, too.
Oh, dude, so good.
Such a good twist as well. And just generally a No Sleep. It definitely deserves it. Does.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
If not No Sleep, they would definitely be classic scary stories. Because, like, the first No End House is amazing. I had not read any of the others. There's, like, 3 or 4 other ones.
Oh, I don't really want to ruin it for me.
It's one of those things where it's like, as long as I hear it on its own, that alone is just an amazing story. But like, I've heard mixed reviews on the others, kind of like the Baraska sequels. I don't want to like screw it up.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. I can.
So yeah, I think that's a good placement for it. Painful, I don't know.
I don't know the one either.
Pen Pal. That's.
If that one's not S tier, that one's classic.
I think Pen Pal was good. Would I put it on a level as Baraska or No In House though? I would say classic Scary Story is a good place for that.
I agree with that. Pen Pal is. I would say it's about as good, if not like equal to 1999, because it's kind of the same kind of thing. It's like someone looking back on something from their childhood and it's really fucked up. Yeah. And it's good. Pen Pal. If you don't know that one, this kid, and in class they have a Pen Pal assignment, and they tie their their school address or whatever to balloons and send the balloons off to find pen pals, and everyone gets their pen pals back, but this one kid finds out that his teacher's like, you don't have one, like a letter or anything from your pen pal, and then eventually he starts getting letters, and it's like, it's not another student, it's not someone else, it's not something safe, and
it's definitely not something safe.
Yeah. And I think that one, I don't want to say too much more because I think we should read that one too. That's a really good one.
Yeah. A lot of these we need to reread, but I think that's A tier for sure.
A tier for sure, yeah. Next up, Polybius. I'm going to be totally honest. I don't remember there being a creepypasta. I just remember the conspiracy theory about Polybius.
I don't know anything about Polybius.
So I don't know, for creepypastas, I don't know, but for scary stories, for like conspiracy theories, Polybius was supposedly this game back in like the 70s or 80s. It was an arcade box that had very crazy flashing lights, and there was only like a dozen of them that were made or something like some crazy low number.
Yeah.
And supposedly, these games could cause seizures, but also, they were the only games in arcades that people would like. They would be chilling at the arcade doing their thing, and they would see men in black and white suits come in, checking the Polybius machines. They wouldn't take them coins, they wouldn't take anything, but they would like check out these things on the back of the machine. They would take data or whatever, and then they would leave. And if you asked them what they were doing, they'd say, "Don't worry about it," and then they would leave. And then after like 4 or 5 months, all the Polybius machines vanished. And supposedly the conspiracy is that they were doing government testing on kids to see if the games were making them violent or some shit.
Oh. Okay.
And so I'm not gonna put it higher than good enough, because I don't know what the creepypasta is, but the conspiracy itself is kind of an interesting
That's an interesting conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Suicidemouse.avi. I feel like I've heard this one.
I think...
Is this the one? Is this that creepy Mickey Mouse one?
Yeah, where it's just him walking down the street. It's like you hear screaming and killing and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to say bad stories have decent moments, because it's like... It makes me think of Squidward Suicide, where it's like... Yeah. There's... On its own, it's like not a great story, but it's like there's parts about it where like, oh, that could be good.
You're like, oh yeah. I mean, I agree.
Like that could be interesting. Or
there are moments.
Yeah.
Sweet summer child.
No idea what that is.
I don't know. What
Ted the Caver. I'm gonna say. I need to reread this one because that was one of the first ones that Creepcast covered, and they liked it a lot. And I remember liking bits and pieces that I saw. It's like just the dude's like documenting his like going into this cave and weird shit's happening and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I remember at one point he's like, because there's bits that I was like, huh, this is interesting. Like at one point he's like in this cave and he's like, there's something in there. It's kind of scary. Fuck it, I'll shove my dog in there and see what happens. Such a horrible. I was like, what the fuck? The Rake.
Rake is a classic.
Yeah.
Classic. I don't know if oh, dude. Okay, as a kid. This would have been at least classic scary stories. If not, No Sleep Tonight.
Yeah.
This one was like the first variant of like Creatures in the Woods.
Yeah.
That like ever came out. And The Rake was just so classic to me when I was a kid. Definitely one that scared me. I think it deserves at least classic. A tier's good.
And also I think the reason for me it's so high too is like, do you remember where I grew up with my family?
Oh, yeah. Dude, the
Rake. With a forest out back?
If I was listening as a kid to The Rake where you lived, on a piece of land 35 minutes from any town.
Yeah, with a big forest behind it.
With a big forest right next to your window, that shit would have terrified me.
There was one time, okay, so this has nothing to do with The Rake, but it kind of does. It's like, we had a trampoline out front, and we would like to jump on it, as the sun was going down, so it was like, cool, and you had the breeze and everything. My brother and I were jumping on it one day, and my dad... we thought he had left and gone to town. Unbeknownst to us, he had gone around to my grandparents' house next door, went out in the woods in a Michael Myers mask, and then walked through the woods and stood there in the woods. And so we're jumping, and it's like just twilight, so it's like I can barely see because the sun's gone down. And I'm like, what the fuck is in the woods? And my brother goes, what? And I was like, what's that over there? He's like, don't try and scare me. That's not funny. And I was like, dude, there's something in the woods. And when he looks, my dad's ducked down, so he can't see it. And I'm like, I swear to God, I saw
I
something.
thought I saw something out there.
And my brother's like, quit being a dick, quit trying to scare me and everything. And he just keeps getting closer, and then finally, like, I don't realize it, but he gets up by the back of the house, and he comes running out, and I was like, I fucking knew it, I saw it! And, like, dude, that is the closest...
I shit my pants.
I may have shit my pants, I don't know.
Yeah, you may have soiled yourself.
It was... Looking back on it now, it's such a funny thing, but at the same time, at the time, I was like, well, there go these pants, I don't need them anymore. Next up, Russian Sleep Experiment.
Russian Sleep Experiment, to me, would be in the good enough tier.
Good enough?
But... another classic. I think it was a good creepypasta, but it was like almost too, for me, like trivial. It was like almost too, I don't know, documentary styled when it was in the writing, if I remember it correctly.
Kind of like how we described the pen pal in 1999.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I don't think it was like the best, because it definitely didn't even like scare me as a kid.
Yeah.
It was almost like I was watching a documentary or like listening to a documentary.
See, I think that's why it scared me more, because I thought it was real. I was like fully convinced. I was like,
we could put it up in classic.
No, I'm fine with it being good enough because it is not the best story.
Yeah.
It's not. It's a good story, but it's good enough.
Yeah.
Like it is definitely one of those. As a kid, I was like, someone said like you should listen to this story, and I did, and I was like, I can't believe this.
Real?
I can't believe they did that.
That's crazy.
That's bananas, man.
I don't know any of these.
Any of these Under the Trees Among the Rocks? I don't know that one. Untitled 2, I think is a fuck up on their part. I don't
there probably is a creepypasta called Untitled too.
There probably is, honestly. The Showers, on the other hand, I'm gonna go ahead and put in. I'm gonna put in good enough. I heard part of it by Creepcast the other day. I need to really re-listen to it because I remember when I was a kid, it was pretty freaky. It was basically like there's an area in the middle of nowhere that like it's an old farm that you can go to, and there's like a bunker. You go down in it, and there's these showers that like it's like a meaty, gross substance that falls out of them, but like there's something in there, like in this underground bunker area. Well, when you go there, it's like the black-eyed kids, and like there's something ethereal that lives down there, and it like haunts you. And like the whole start of the story is this guy saying like my teacher talked about it, like 'cause he had a teacher that he loved who would do like big things for Halloween. And like was doing like a retold that story, and then when he heard about it years later, that like he met the teacher years later at a bar, he's like, hey, how you doing? And the teacher's like, life has fallen apart. And he's like, I went back to the showers. He's like, I thought that was a story. And the teacher's like, no, don't go after it. And then that's the end. Like that's the end of the teacher's aspects. So the guy's like, I gotta go find this thing, and he does, and he's like, I regret this decision.
The meat showers, huh?
Yeah, it was terrifying. But yeah, so that's what we got for I don't know this. If you know any of these stories, can you put some links in the comments or like send us a message in like the in the page, the discussion page or whatever, because some of these titles sound interesting. The Inheritance of Silence, Under the Trees Among the Rocks. Has anyone else heard of The Crossing Hole? All these sound pretty interesting. I mean,
they do. We just need to listen to them.
Yeah.
And then we should definitely bookmark this page.
Yeah.
So that after we re-listen to everything, we can come back and remake this list.
Yeah, and I'm gonna take a photo of this just so we know where everything's at for now, because I don't know if my old ass computer's gonna hold up this long. So there we go. We've got our tier list for this one. We'll also have it on the channel too, so you can also check that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so then we got in Booty Cheeks Incarnate, Jeff the Killer. Yeah.
The only deserving one.
The only deserving so far. Bad stories have decent moments. I think Suicide Mouse. That actually might go lower. Suicide Mouse might be just. It might
also end up being Booty Cheeks. We have to realize.
Yeah. Lavender Town Syndrome, mediocre stories. It could go up. Yeah, some of
these could go up, some could go down.
I could see Candle Cove going up. 1999 Pen Pal, I could see those going up too. I could also see some of these going down. I could see Russian Sleep Experiment.
Ben Drowned and The Rake could go down.
Yeah.
Because those are classics like Jeff the Killer, and I need to re-listen. If it's just as bad,
yeah,
they're going down.
Good enough. I'm going to look in to see if there's a Polybius Creepypasta, because I know there's the conspiracy, but I don't know about anything else. Yeah. Ted the Caver we'll have to check out. Russian Sleep Experiment, The Shower is good enough. Classic Scary Stories, 1999, Pen Pal, Ben Drowned, Candle Cove, The Rake, and then No Sleep Tonight, Baraska, No End House. Has anyone heard of Left Right Game? I definitely recommend these three if you're looking for a good scary story right now. All of these are long. No End House is 40 minutes long. Baraska's like 4 hours long.
Yeah, Baraska's incredibly long.
And same for Left Right Game is like 6 hours long, I think, because it's 2 3-hour parts, I think, on Creepcast.
Yeah.
And then as for these ones, 1999 and Pen Pal are both, I think, an hour long or more. Pen Pal might be longer. Candle Cove is like 20 minutes. The Rake is like 20 minutes. Ben Drown's like, I think, 30. Ted the Caver is a couple hours. Russian Sleep Experiment is like 15 minutes. The Showers is anywhere from 20 to 40, depending on which version you get. Because there's more bits and pieces to that one. The rest of these...
Jeff the Killer's like 10 minutes.
I mean, honestly, you could read through Jeff the Killer in about 10 minutes. It's a feeling. A feeling.
A feeling. A really feeling-y feeling.
Yeah, oh my god. At what time are we sitting at? 24 minutes? That's not bad.
About 25-minute video.
Okay. Well, 25 minutes for this one. That's not bad. We're going to try and give some shorter videos out there so you can watch. Like, we like the longer videos, but that's our sauce. So we'll do some of those too, but we're also going to do some shorter ones for you guys. You can just knock them out. Well, until next time, we want to say thank you for coming in, and we hope you like our little video. If you don't agree with us, tell us why in the comments. What was your favorite creepypasta? Honestly, we could also make our own tier list one of these days with all of your recommendations. So if you've got a creepypasta we didn't cover, or if you got one of these you did like, put it down in the comments, and we'll see how we go from there. So until next time, I want to say sit back, relax, and enjoy the darkness around you. Shadow Man Randy, you got anything to say to the crowd?
Don't hate these rankings. They're just rankings.
Mm-hmm.
Just a couple of guys' opinions. We're going to come back and re-rank them after a good listen.
Oh,
so, stay tuned. We'll have more out for you soon.
Hell yeah. Alrighty. See you next time, guys. And